Hey everybody, this is Eastside Steve. This list is unofficial in every way. It's basically non-canon. And an SCP, canon is what you make of it. Basically, it's a headcanon. If you're interested and if you're an author that writes for SCP or want to write for SCP sometime, check out the README link I put down in the description. And it offers a lot of advice for people who want to write for SCPs and a bunch of author notes and general advice, so I'm kind of skipping over that. So I'm just going to get right to the K-Class list. A-level scenarios. Generally accepted site-wide, appears in multiple SCP articles, Foundation tales, or one well-received, well-known permanent resident article or tale. AK-Class End-of-the-World scenario. Description: End of the world via restructuring of subjective reality, that is, the perceptions and or thought processes of the human race. Simply put, everyone goes crazy by one fashion or another. Moose's notes. Multiple references using similar definitions have appeared independently of each other in various works. This can be thought of as a restructuring scenario, but it would typically be termed as an end-of-the-world scenario because effectively for humans, the world has ended, just as thoroughly as if civilization got all blowed up. Appearances. Change. Scenario is first referenced and established as a scenario involving reality shifts, related to BK-Class Undefined and CK-Class Restructuring. SCP-571. Scenario is SCP-571. Scenario is the permanent alteration of behavior in all or the vast majority of the human race, caused by a mimetic pattern with a piggybacking anomalous effect that forces the user to permanently fixate on spreading it. SCP-1101. Scenario is a perpetual argument encompassing all or the vast majority of the human race, caused by a mind-altering device with an exponential effect. CK-Class Restructuring Scenario. Definition: Restructuring of reality may mean a significant change in history, rewriting the present to match, or a change in the way physical laws work, or in the way the universe works, or a major rewriting of reality encompassing some or all of these. Moose's notes. The original restructuring scenario may have been created by an ex-site member and called CK-Class Reconfiguration, but as their work no longer exists, their usage of it is irrelevant. The only used one CK-Class End-of-the-World scenario may be a subset of this scenario. See below. Appearances. SCP-140. Scenario is retroactive restructuring of modern society based on alterations to timeline. Of multiverses and dandelion wine. Scenario in which the multiverse is collapsing, universes merging together. Incident 239-B, Clef Kondraki, SCP-239. Scenario is a reality-bending, rewriting reality as we know it. SCP-1237. A wide variety of wide-scale non-apocalyptic reality shifts. Change. Scenario referenced along with AK-Class and BK-Class scenarios is one of 3 scenarios involving reality shifts. Recovered data file. Scenario involving multiple CK-Class events, some deliberately initialized by the Foundation, apparently attempting to repair or control an ongoing restructuring scenario. GH-Class Dead Greenhouse Scenario. Definition: Life as we know it is 80% or more dead, but the planet can still be fixed more or less and can still support life. Moose's notes, also referred to a DG-Class scenario unofficially by author Dr. Gears in discussion. Appearances. Document recovered from the Marianas Trench. Scenario is near total SCP containment breach, causing widespread destruction and chaos in which most of humanity dies, and the Foundation must rebuild the world to an approximation of what it once was, referred to as GH0. NK-Class End-of-the-World scenario. Definition: End of the world caused by self-replicating material. Moose's notes, also referred to as the Grey Goo scenario, once defined as a scenario characterized by an explosive event with effects on a geological scale. This definition can be considered defunct, as the current definition has been widely accepted and the earlier definition seems excessively specific. Appearances. SCP-505. Scenario is massive-scale environmental contamination caused by self-replicating ink. RK-Class Restructuring Scenario. Definition: Out-competition of standard Earth species by non-standard lifeforms. Moose's notes. Definition taken from SCP-816 and thus may be excessively inaccurately specific. Alternate suggested definition: World has changed but humanity, history, and rules of reality are the same. Appearances. SCP-816. SK-Class Dominant Shift Scenario. Definition: changing of the planet's dominant species. Moose's notes, in the modern day, indicate the shift to dominance by another life form or humans of alternate form and/or culture. Appearances: SCP-752. Scenarios: competition between modern-day humans and genetically socially re-engineered humans projected to result in dominant shift. SCP-1000. Scenario is shift in which humanity becomes the dominant species of Earth by driving another species to near extinction and destroying their civilization semi-permanently. XK-Class End-of-the-World Scenario. Definition: salted Earth End-of-the-World Scenario. In other words, destruction of the world as we know it with little possibility of immediate rebuilding. May include, but is not defined by, threat of species extinction. Moose's notes. The original End-of-the-World Scenario formerly meant a religious apocalypse in line with some variant of Abrahamic religious beliefs, usually as a direct result of a major religious event or artifact. Expanded further to the above definition. This term is also used as a shorthand or slang term for all apocalyptic scenarios. Appearances: Dr. Klett's proposal for SCP-001. Scenario is a biblical apocalypse of some variant. SCP-152. Includes many XK-Class scenarios that involve the extinction of humanity. Specifies that apocalyptic events that involve the extinction of humanity are not all classified as XK-Class scenarios. Revised entry to SCP-173. Scenario involves alternate universe version of SCP-173 gaining the ability to multiply with a hive mind, wiping out most of the human population of North America, South America, and the United Kingdom, followed by saturation nuclear bombing. SCP-227. Two example XK-Class scenarios are given: Wandering Brown Dwarf, the so-called Nemesis Hypothesis, or a gamma-ray burst. Other apocalyptic cosmic events that are classified as XK-Class scenarios are implied. SCP-231. Scenario involves a satanic cult-induced pregnancy, serving as a seventh seal, being ended or carried to term, resulting in a supernatural religious apocalypse. SCP-435. Scenario involves SCP-435-2, the shadow of an extra-dimensional entity, causing massive widespread destruction on a nuclear detonation scale at minimum, to start, prevented only by keeping SCP-435-1 under bright light. A last resort preventative is Contingency 435-XK-Alpha. SCP-616. Fictional procedure involves destruction of supposedly Abrahamic religion-based SCP and event of any XK-Class End-of-the-World scenario. SCP-701. Specifically not an XK-Class scenario, only kills hundreds of people a year. SCP-861. Variety of scenarios based on Judeo-Christian religious beliefs. Refers to XK-400 and XK-423 through XK-436. XK-400-A involves YHVH, XK-440-C through XK-440-B involve either the Seven Seals or entities associated with the Seven Seals. SCP-861 is preliminarily designated XK-440-X. XK-423 involves Leviathan. SCP-923. Scenario involves permanent alteration of landscape to create insanity, in addition to severe spatial and temporal disturbances and various other worse classified effects, including materialization of something classified. SCP-1023. Scenario involves the detonation of a record number of nuclear detonations within a short period of time. SCP-1200. References an apocalyptic scenario that can be prevented by containing and manipulating the cognitive patterns of SCP Redacted, a human child, possibly SCP-231-7. SCP-1237. Used to refer to a variety of possible apocalyptic scenarios caused by rewriting parts of reality via dreams, as distinct from the CK-Class scenarios considered more likely to result. SCP-1591. Scenario involves a device that could theoretically dissolve the entire Earth and certainly the organisms on it. Stratagem SCP-008. Release of SCP-008 Zombie Virus, said to likely result in an XK-Class or XC-Class scenario. To sleep perchance to dream. Scenario involves using Protocol XK-0272-A as a reaction to a mass, potentially species-wide deadly infection. Protocol requires destruction of all major worldwide population centers. Shorthand and slang references may not actually be technically classified as XK event scenarios. SCP-096. Scenario involves near unkillable creature breaching containment and killing the majority of the human species. Likely slang. SCP-108. Used to refer to all apocalyptic scenarios. SCP-523. Used to refer to all apocalyptic scenarios. SCP-630. Contamination of water supply which would turn warm-blooded life into black, non-reflective, blind, heat-seeking zombies is referred to in a researcher note as a kind of XK event, likely slang. ZK-Class Reality Failure Scenario. Definition: Reality failure. May or may not be the only one of many realities. May include end of all reality. Moose's notes. Proposed multiple times before finally being used, always in the same sense. Appearances: S. Andrew Swan's proposal for SCP-001. Scenarios: the possible failure of the Foundation's reality. B-level scenarios. Used in a less well-known SCP article or Foundation tell, or vaguely defined but used in multiple pieces. BI-Class Biological Invasion Scenario. Definition: Invasion of Earth by extraterrestrial lifeforms. Moose's notes. Implies some kind of distinction between extraterrestrial biological and non-biological invasion. Not widely accepted but potentially usable. Appearances: The Bacterium, Part 1, Part 2, Finale. CK-Class End-of-the-World Scenario. Definition: End of the world via wide-scale or total restructuring of the physical mass of the world. Moose's notes. Seems to be a specific subset of the CK-Class restructuring scenarios. Appearances: SCP-1053, SCP-1012. EK-Class Undefined Scenario. Moose's notes. Does not end human life, possibly destroys society, possibly destroys most or all of human consciousness. Appearances: SCP-338. A looped recording of survival instructions, rendezvous locations, and status updates about the Great War, and seems to describe an EK-Class scenario caused by the release of SCP-blank. The contents are changed and updated sporadically, ranging from twice daily to once every 3 weeks. SCP-1427. Involves extinguishment of all human consciousness within approximately 215 days. IK-Class Collapse of Global Civilization Scenario. Definition: Collapse of global civilization of a fashion that does not fall under another scenario. Moose's notes. Scenario did not originally imply any SCP containment breach, just any truly massive natural disaster. Later expanded to be defined as global civilization collapse, often caused by natural disasters on a massive scale. Appearances: SCP-1238. Scenario is a partial collapse of continental plates that would destroy major population centers. In the Big League. Scenario is an asteroid strike with estimated casualties of approximately 3 billion over 10 years. Sea-level scenarios. Used in an SCP article or Foundation tale, but undefined. BK-Class Undefined Scenario. Moose's notes. Explicitly related to AK-Class Undefined or CK-Class restructuring. This, like the others, is a scenario involving reality shifts, likely a restructuring scenario. Appearances: Change. XC-Class Undefined Scenario. Moose's notes. Probably a redundant class at this point, used as a throwaway and not necessarily very usable. Alternatively, a C-Class scenario could reflect a partial K-Class scenario. For instance, an XC-Class scenario could be the destruction of a specific subsection of humanity, say with genes that made them susceptible to a certain anomalous thing, while the rest of humanity survives. Appearances: Stratagem SCP-008. Results from an SCP-008 outbreak. XK-Class scenario suggested a similar likely alternate result. D-level scenarios. Unused but proposed or referenced multiple times in discussion. These definitions have a tendency to change. YK-Class Vacuum Decay Scenario. Definition: Vacuum Metastability Event, wiping out all life in reality. Moose's notes. Proposed by The Raven, used only in a deleted article, seems a bit overly specific.